Hi, good morning, everyone. It's Josh here with Vancouver Real Estate today, and I'm really excited because today I've got my friend Jennifer Chernecki to come and talk to me and you a little bit about gardening because we are in April, which is Lawn and Garden Month, and we're in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic where we're all supposed to be locked down at home, and I'm finding a lot of my clients and friends are gardening, and I know Jennifer to be an avid gardener. So I asked her to come share some of her tips.
So here's the thing, homeowners, homebuyers, investors, we all want to find that perfect property to move into and to eventually sell for a profit. And we want to make that purchase in a place with affordable, safe, quality homes, communities, and businesses. Why? So we can actually enjoy our lives, take vacations, and spend the quality time we want with the people we love. How do we do all this without risking a fortune and running ourselves ragged? That's the big question, and this show is dedicated to the
I work as an artist, I work as an oil painter, and I work for a few museums doing programming in art. Between our porch and the little chunk that we've sort of taken over in front of our apartment, we have a full garden, more than enough space to do everything that we want to do right now. So
Nice. Yeah, it's great when you have a ground level place like you do because you can kind of, though it's not technically a space that you own or that it belongs to you if you're renting, you can kind of claim it as your own because no one's hanging out directly in front of your patio. So I love that.
yeah, and
Awesome.
our building actually has a garden club. So
Cool.
it's a lot of the more like retired or semi-retired people, and a couple of us younger people get in on it too. And it's just like a really great because we have a huge lawn here. So one of our tenants in the building takes care of the whole lawn. And because we take care of our lawn, we basically have free reign because our landlords don't take care of the lawn. So
Yeah,
we're really lucky in that respect.
that's fantastic. Yeah, I find if you look after things like that and just be a good neighbor, I find is a good way to think about the behavior you may be having on a property and what you can get away with as long as you're being a good neighbor. So,
Exactly. And our neighbors love our garden so much. That's another thing. People walk by every day, especially right now when there's nothing to do. I see kids coming by every day, examining what's up with their parents, like what's come out of the ground. So it's really
cool.
fun for us.
You've always had a garden since I've known you. Well, how long have you? When did you first start trying to plant things and see what gardening felt like?
Well, my mom always had a big garden. We're from Alberta originally, so we just had a big garden. We come from like farm family, but when I was in my late teens, I guess actually early 20s, I worked at a nursery in Abbotsford. And that was kind of like,
Oh
oh,
wow.
yeah. So I was just cashier for a couple of years, but in that year or two, I just, you work in a nursery and you're like, oh, colors, colors. So I got really
Hmm.
into it at that point because we got a lot of free plants or, we take home the struggling plants because they don't want to sell those ones. So it was a great job.
I like how you mentioned the colors. I think especially for like apartment dwellers to
Yeah.
have some plants on your balcony that bring some color to the space when you don't have all the outdoor space you might want is really nice. Like when I lived in Kits, I had a little balcony box with fuchsias in it, and I remember my girlfriend at the time would always make fun of me because I would spritz them with the water just out of like a Windex bottle full of water because it was south facing and they don't like that much light. It dries them out. But they were really nice and pretty, so I would do that. And, yeah, it was a lot of work though. So why don't you tell me about what you've got planted and what you've kind of created off your balcony? I know you had some pictures to share and some stories to share on maybe like what works and what doesn't work in terms
Sure.
of varieties.
Yeah, so it's April right now, and it's weeding and seeding month, basically in the garden world. Your bulbs that we see right now, all the pretty colors, those have always already been planted. They were planted in fall. So
Mm.
tulips, daffodils, anything early like that. But now's also the time to put in your later bulbs, like dahlias or gladiolas or things like that are going to come up in the mid to late summer, but mostly weeding and seeding. So I did put together a few images here. So we can kind of
Awesome.
look at them and talk about them.
And there's Levy.
Yeah, there's Levy. I can make it go full screen, but let's just work with this. So
Yeah.
I just have a small little apartment balcony, and it's less than 50 square feet, but we've really made a beautiful little spot. We sit out there all, like every day. I go out there and draw or just sit and read, and you can do a lot with a small amount of space. So you can see I've got some annuals already in there.
Which ones are the annuals? Can you use the cursor and sort of give us the tour?
You guys.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so here your yellow and purples, you've got your pansies. So they're cold weather plants, and they're already thriving. And in here we also have sweet peas. These ones up here were daffodils. They've already flowered. And so I built a little trellis behind that will keep those back from falling forward too much. And it starts to create a nice privacy screen. And then I'm also growing my peas will come up there and make very, very fragrant flowering plants. So
you're growing food at your apartment too?
These are not edible peas, but there is food in other parts of the garden. Yeah.
Okay. And as for the annuals, like if I remember, like those are generally pretty affordable and easy to.
Yeah.
Like,
I just went, so I don't know if we are allowed to use brand names on your podcast, but I was going to talk about going to Home Depot. I just went to Home Depot a couple days ago. I wore a mask, I wore gloves, and it's everything's available outdoors right now. It's the perfect place to go because it's so huge, the one off terminal, that you can just go and pick up everything you need and you're not going to get anywhere near other people. It was a really great experience. So anyways, you can get your 6-packs of geraniums. They already have petunias and other small flowering plants for, like $3 or $4.
nice.
I gave a handful away to a couple of my neighbors because it's so many plants in the end. You have like 24 plants when you get home. So, and they'll all fill out quite a bit. So, and this is my boyfriend's flower. It's named Georgie. That he takes care of. Okay, so do you want to continue with the tour?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now's the time to be planting your bulbs for the later summer. So here's your gladiolus in the back. We've already put a lot of those in, but I just have a few waiting to go in. And these are Dahlia tubers. So generally in BC, your little old ladies or little old men will be digging these out every winter and drying them and keeping them in like sawdust or something.
Really?
And then you can sprout them. So I have a lot of them already planted out there, but these ones, I'm not like a huge Dahlia aficionado. They're actually like the old lady, old man plant of the century, because they are those ones that have those blooms like this. Dinner plate, they're called. Those huge
okay, I have to Google those to check what that looks like in full bloom.
Yeah,
but,
they're enormous. Okay. And some of them can grow up to like 8 feet, the plants. So
wow.
Yeah, they're huge, and they produce hundreds of flowers sometimes, and you can just keep cutting them, and the more you cut them, the more they produce. But my family would never grew these, so I'm not as used to them. So I'm doing both outdoor and inside sprouting. But anyways, you can see.
Why are they an old lady and old man flower? What's the story with that?
I don't know. Like, I just mean that, like your grandma or something grew these.
Okay.
They're just so sensational, and it's not true. Like, my younger friend at the gallery grows these too, but
yeah.
It's just kind of like, look it up there, look it up on YouTube,
sure.
Dahlia gardens, and you'll see it's there. I mean, grow an entire garden with them, it's going to be like, you either need to be retired or you need a COVID-19 incident to keep you at home enough to grow such a sensational garden, is what I mean. So, but anyways, everyone grows them. So anyways, they come in tubers, and this one clump of tubers you can see actually has 3 shoots coming off of it.
What's a tuber, just for those of us who don't know?
It's like a tube of that holds water. So I guess potatoes are also tubers.
Okay, gotcha.
But in this case, when you put one tuber in, it will grow a plant, but then it will also create more tubers. Like, that's how it multiplies. And then you pull them up at the end of the fall, put them away, and then in the spring you sprout them, and then you can divide them because they grow eyes off of them.
Yeah.
So everywhere where there's a different eye, you can divide the plants, and then this could be 3 plants. So,
Okay, we've all
and
seen
then
our
there's,
potatoes get little eyes coming out of them, so
yeah.
it makes sense.
And then on this one, there's 2 growths started, and these are 2 different colors. This one is crazy. It's lime green and hot pink together. So
Wow.
I'm excited to try and divide this into 3 different plants because I already have a couple more outside, and you can cover a lot of ground with them. So
Mm.
dahlias are a bit advanced, but you can buy potted dahlias that have been started for you, and you can still put them in the ground or put them in a bigger pot and grow them all summer, and you'll get blooms from late July to sometimes the end of October. That's why people love them, because you get blooms all through fall until the frost. They just last
Mm.
forever. So they're kind of like, for all these other plants that we're going to look at, they're mostly spring and then some are early summer. And in my garden, after the gladiolus, these ones bloom, then I have nothing out there except for vegetables. So I was like, I need to nip that in the bud this year and have one last beautiful plant. So that's where your dahlias come in.
I get you, because that was always my struggle with the annuals, was
Yeah.
like they kind of had a limited lifespan, right?
Sure. It gets really hot in the middle of
Yeah.
summer. And like your geraniums are going to keep going, but the pansies, they won't always. It's a little too hot. They're more like winter, spring, late fall plants, right? They thrive in the cold weather. So yeah, dahlias are a fun one to check out. Okay,
Cool.
so I also put in my geraniums. I don't really grow geraniums from seed. Some people do, but they're so inexpensive to get a 6-pack of them is like $4 or something. So I start geraniums, and geraniums are a wonderful traditional plant that pioneers used, or, because if you plant them near your door, they keep away bugs.
Okay.
They're
That's a good tip. If plant geraniums by your door, keep away bugs.
Yeah, from coming in the house, right? So you'll always see, like in pioneer days, or even at this one small museum I work at, we always have geraniums around the doors, because that's just a tradition, that pioneer people did. Keep bugs out. So they have a really strong scent, but they're wonderful plants because they make tons of blooms, and you'll just get, bloom after bloom all summer. And then I also snuck a lily in there, just to have a lily on the balcony. So I put in about 10 lilies as well. We have a big lily garden in front, but we always add a few more every year. So
lilies are really nice.
Yeah, perfect for Easter. So
always good flowers to give your girlfriend, I found.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have some view, and I'm kind of overlooking this enormous amount of mint that is growing in the neighbor's yard. So I plan to control it a little bit, but it is great to have some mint. That's what all of this is, and this is kind of my neighbor.
A lot of mojito parties happening at your building.
Yeah, I drink it in tea. But I've got some tulips, and there's some other plants in here that will come up later. But I also grow a dandelion right on my porch, which
dandelion.
And my friends, or the gardener people around here, kind of think I'm nuts, but dandelion is really extremely good for your liver. It's a natural liver tonic, so you can always, if you just grow 1 or 2, and I just nip the flowers, like if I want some yellow, looks nice with the tulip, right?
Yeah.
But if you're worried about having a big infestation in your yard, you can just nip the flowers off. I just grow it for the leaves, because you can put a little bit into salad, and you're going to constantly be getting a liver tonic as you're just having salad. So
really,
some of us like to drink more than others, and maybe you had a bottle of wine or something, and it is really good for you, right? So
I didn't know that. I always just thought of it as a weed with the nice little thing that you blow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So here we have a strawberry planter that I started. So it's
cool.
Not fancy, and it seems to be growing a little bit of green goo. But it's kind of pretty. I just whipping it out every day. But I just had so many strawberries growing in this main bed. So this is the main kind of area in front of my porch.
Okay.
Slowly kind of dug out, and I top dress it, and there's only a few flowers in it right now, but they're coming. I started noticing that I had so many strawberries in there, and I'm talking like 50, 80 plants, because they just multiply and multiply, but wow. I would never get anything from them. And finally somebody said, well, it's because they don't want to be all crushed in between your gladiolas and your tulips and your poppies and everything else in there. I'm growing broccoli in there and kale and everything. So they don't like that. They just want to have their own space. And that's why people grow strawberry patches. So
they want some social distance from the other
yeah,
plants.
you got it. So so I wasn't about to dig another patch of tear up any more of the grass this year. So I actually just had a couple extra pots and filled them up and put one in each area, because they actually have a lot of space to get water, even though these little areas are actually quite small, but they have all of this space. So it ended up being about 12 or 15 plants in there. And some of them, I just put them in, they were just one little leaf, and they're already starting to fill out. And in another couple of weeks, this will be like, it will all fill out, and you won't even see this by early summer.
It looks so, I love it. It looks really creative. And I think like your place, the way it's the gardening here is just so East Van.
Yeah, like
that's what I love about East Van. Like the best gardens in town.
Yeah. The only money I really spend on gardening is we always buy dirt. Like we have to. You need some good dirt, but luckily dirt is just like $3 a bag for very high quality dirt. I usually get about 10 or 20 of those by the end of the summer, but over the full, I don't know, I've had maybe 10 so far, so I might get a few.
Is there like a particular kind of dirt that you buy or you like? Because I think there's different kinds, right?
Yeah, I just go to Home Depot, and I don't like, there is, name brand, garden mix soil, whatever that stuff. I just buy the $2.50 or $3 bag. So one is a general garden mix, and one is like it's called like Black Earth, and it's in the purple bag. So I get the orange bag and the purple bag at Home Depot. But those are perfectly fine, because we're going to talk a little bit. I do for some fertilizing. So there's a couple ways to do fertilizing. So, but those are perfectly fine, especially the Black Earth. It's really nice, and you can just top dress everything. So that's when you just sprinkle a couple inch layer.
Yeah.
You've planted all your stuff, you put in any new seed, and you put a top dress. So maybe top dress a bit first, and then sprinkle in your new seeds if you're going to plant seeds, and then top dress again. So in the end, you put like maybe this much, an inch or two of new dirt, and it will rain and compact, but that's enough, because you're just refreshing the nutrients, right?
Because all those nutrients drip down through when the water gets on it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here, I took some photos of this yesterday. They're not the best. It was so sunny, so it's really hard to get good photos. But so I like dandelions, right? And there was a couple in the front bed, big, huge, beautiful ones. And I'm thinking, I wonder if I should leave these. And then our resident retired lawnsman came through and just weed whacked them all. So I'm left with these. So I'm just left with these nasty looking crumpled up things. But the thing is like, that's great. If you want to weed whack them, you go for it. But it is better to pull them out. Yeah. So I thought I'd just give a quick lesson in how to get them out easily, because there's sort of a way, right? So you want to have a nice trowel. Okay. So the middle part here, obviously, is the plant, and it's got a big root in it. Sometimes it's just straight down, but depending on how old it is, it can be kind of like more like a carrot, like thick with sort of bits coming off of it. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just go down one way, down from another way, and maybe down a third way. So you're going to go different angles, and you're going to kind of lever it up. Yeah. And then when you pull it out, you really want to grab as far in as you can, so you can pull it straight up and out after you've loosened it. Because you can see this is all the huge dandelion root.
Right. Wow.
It's like over an inch thick.
Yeah.
So you want to get those out, because if you don't want dandelions, like this will just grow right back again. Totally. It's not going to stop it to weed whack it. So that's how you want to get those out. And I was out there weeding the front bed for
a lot of weeds.
Yeah, and maybe 1 hour or so. And this is what I came out with as far as weeds. So it's heavy weeding time. You want to take out all that morning glory. That's a invasive weed that we all have in East Van or West Van or anywhere in Vancouver. It's incredibly invasive. It's the long ivy with big white.
Yeah, white flowers. It's like a vine kind of thing.
It's a vine. So I have one area where it comes up through the rocks. So I actually built it a trellis there, because it's actually extremely beautiful. If you have a big old wire fence or a wall that it can get up that you don't have anything else there, then yeah, let it grow. Butterflies, I've seen, I'm pretty sure hummingbirds like it because it's got the funnel. So it's a beautiful plant. Bees like it, but you don't want it in your garden beds because it will just swirl around everything and kill it everywhere it goes. So right now is the time to pull out as much as you can because you want to pull out all the ivy before you put in new seed. If you're going to be seeding within your plants, because if you don't, when you go to pull it, it will pull out all those baby plants with it because it just travels underneath so far. So you don't want it, you want to get as much of it out now and you'll control it. If you get it, you're never going to get it all, it's impossible, but if you take it out every spring, and then you'll have to wait a few months to take it out again because you want all your new baby plants to really root before you start reefing on that ivy.
Yeah, so if you don't do it and you start planting stuff and then you decide in a couple weeks after you've seeded that you want to pull it out, well now it's too late because you're going to pull out you're going to ruin the work that you just did the weeks prior.
Yeah.
Got it. Whereas and then you have to wait for that to be fully bloomed.
Yeah, more established plants, you can pull out that ivy with it in there and it will be rooted enough that it won't come out, right? So you kind of do it now and then you're going to do it again in like early July or June once everything's established. You have to pull it out or at least pinch it where it's coming up often. But then I also pulled out a bunch of buttercup and dandelions and I cut off a lot of branches. I don't have a big photo of this garden. It's up here.
What's your cat's name again?
Simon.
Simon, cute.
Yeah. So another thing, if you have a cat, you might want to plant some cat grass for it. I find that when I buy those little trays of cat grass at the pet store, for some reason my cat doesn't like them as much, but if I just plant it like in a delicate, antique bonsai pot or something, then all of a sudden the cat loves it.
Funny.
Yeah,
that's a bit fussy, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, I think he likes it because it comes up. Well, first of all, it grows very, very fast, so it's really fun to give it to kids because you'll just put the seed down and don't even really need to top dress it. Just sprinkle a little extra dirt, but you don't even need to cover it, and it will still grow. And keep it watered for a day or two. Within like the second day, you're going to see these little things pop up. And then the next day, they're going to be this big. It grows so quickly.
Oh, that's fun.
It's fun. And you can even do like chia pets or those kind of fun crafts with it. Just use some old stockings. But I think the cat really likes it because it's so tender, just like how we like baby kales or baby, leaves. It's a little bit nicer than what you get at the pet store. And then if you trim it, it will keep growing. But if you let it get too tall, like where it is right now, I'm going to trim it soon.
So does Simon eat it?
Yeah, he eats it.
Oh, cool.
He eats it every day. That was him. I just got him right before we hopped on. He was up there and I was like, oh, I need that shot. So
yeah.
Yeah, no, he eats it every day. But you want to keep it trimmed or else it will go to seed. And anytime your plants are going to seed, they're going to die. That's just how it is. So if you want to keep any plant from dying and make it last a little longer, you want to keep it trimmed.
Now I'm noticing you've got so much sunlight. Do you have a south-facing patio? Remind me, do you know which way it faces?
Yeah, it is south-facing. And
so what exposures are best for people? Because some people have north-facing, some people east.
Yeah. I always prefer south-facing personally because I am a gardener and I like hot sun. But I mean, it's not for everyone. If you're not working from home, or if you're not home a lot and you're like a normal Vancouverite going out every day, then a west-facing apartment is also great because you get that, evening sun coming in. You can grow lots of stuff on your balcony. North-facing is obviously going to be the hardest. So
less light, it's going to make it a little harder to grow things because they don't get that vitamin D, I guess, or that.
Yeah, they just don't. But, you can still work around it. You can always grow leafy greens. Leafy greens like cooler weather. So like lettuce, spinach, kale, and then you can grow herbs.
Nice. That was like having a little herb garden. That's a good call.
Yeah, you can grow your chives and oregano, basil, those kind of things. So that's perfectly fine. I mean, you can pretty much grow anything out there. You just might not get as many blooms. But it's the plus side is that actually normally I have a beautiful spring garden, but it actually really starts to fail in summer, and that's just because I can't keep up with the watering.
That
I'm
was
not.
the same thing with me in that fuchsia.
Yeah,
That's why I always had to spray it.
yeah. I'm not home enough, or I'm out with my dog or go to beaches. So I feel like this year is going to be the year of the epic garden because
Totally.
I'm going to do it this year, like the full thing.
Cool.
Yeah, let's see. I think that's it for me. Back to the first
Awesome.
view.
No, that was really good. So what do
Thanks.
you think, like someone who's wanting to start gardening or maybe who's just started, like what would you say are some tips or best practices or like things to not be afraid of? Or yeah, I don't know, what advice would you leave people with?
Well, I'd say for seeds, get new seeds. Um, it's really true that I started a bunch of seeds and I just use an egg carton. Eggshells are harder, when you see them in eggshells. I actually have that, but I didn't show it. So I only do these eggshell ones with tomatoes.
Cool. So you got
Because,
tomatoes in there?
yeah. And I started them in a tin between two wet pieces of paper towel. And then once they've made a little wormy sprout, then I transferred them in here. But tomatoes like a lot of dryness, so this is okay. But anything that can't be dried out, it's hard to do it with the eggshells because they have no drainage. So it's better to just use the egg thing itself, because then you can still water it fully and keep it in a
Yeah.
plastic tray. So you can start kale or those kind of plants inside right now.
So why are you
So
using an eggshells or an egg carton? Is there a specific reason why that? Is it just because it's the right size?
yeah, I mean, exactly. Like I don't have to go buy any mini starter pots because you can buy little peat pots. The idea with either the egg carton or the eggshells is that you can take the whole thing and put it right in the ground. Like that's the idea with the eggshell, is that when you transplant it, you just put it into its next size up pot and you just crunch it, and it
Oh,
because
cool.
eggshells, yeah, you crunch it so it can drink, but also eggshells are really healthy for your garden. So that's the reason for
I
it.
didn't know that.
Yeah, but it is a little tricky because of the whole drainage issue. You could also pop a little hole, but I mean,
Right.
these are just my boyfriend's eggs from him making us breakfast,
Yeah.
eggshells. So they're not like very well, they're not perfectly cracked or anything. They're just like our, yeah.
No, it's
Anyway,
just eggshell. Yeah, it's simple.
yeah.
I like it.
But for seeds, I started them in this little tray, and I had started 3 different seeds.
So when you say a new seed, what does that mean?
So basically, I had started this tray, and it's just a tin with, it had wet paper towels, and then I had a bunch of 3 different varieties of seeds in there that I was starting. And 2 of the seeds were seeds that I'd had from the past, and I just wanted to see, one's a plant and one's a flower, but they were old. Like one was 10 years old and one was like 5 or 6. They didn't work at all. Just
Okay.
nothing. Whereas the tomatoes, they weren't brand new, but they were newer and they're a heritage variety. So they all came up perfectly fine. So newer seeds, like seeds don't last forever.
So just go buy some seeds from the store.
Yeah, exactly. And also focus on Westco Seeds. If you want to have a successful garden, the brand Westco Seeds is amazing. They make all the leafy greens that we all love here, like like kale, but like nice soft baby kales in all the varieties, spinach, lettuce, and what's that spicy lettuce?
Tarragon?
Oh,
That's
it'll
our
come. No, it'll come to me. But anyways, it's a brand, Westco Seeds, and the thing is that seeds have a memory, right? So when you're planting a seed, if I always plant the beans. I do runner beans at the end of the year, and these are beans that can grow 20 feet tall, the vines. I use the beans that I plucked from out here in the fall. The biggest beans, longest beans have like 3 or 4 beans inside, and that's because they remember living in this yard last year. They're a product of their parent or whatever. They're themselves, because they make their own bean and then they grow again. So, right. So if you use local seeds, they come imprinted with the kind of climate that they're used to growing in, and they're
going to respond to the geography, the geology, the soil, because it's bred into them.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Didn't
So
know
for
that.
seeds, pick things that are, it's almost getting a little late, and by the time this video comes out, it might be even a little late for leafy greens. I'm going to try to put in mine today because I haven't done lettuce yet, but I already have kale and chard and broccolis growing from self-seeded from last year, because I just grow those and they just make new babies. So, but do those now. If you're going to do them, put them in now. It's perfect timing. Also,
Today we're at April 11th. It's Easter Sunday, so get
yeah,
moving on your gardening.
it's a nice, yeah, it's a nice time to do gardening anyways, because you can do it with your family members.
Yeah.
And then for flowers, pick the easy ones because they're so beautiful. Pick geraniums. I love petunias so much, but they do need a certain amount of space. So they both do. They'll both get really big. So geraniums, petunias. I, for whatever reason, can't grow marigolds, even though I love them so much. I just can't. I always have a fuchsia, but it's a perennial if you treat it right. So mine's just coming back to life right now. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was fertilizing, because I don't usually fertilize, but I have been watching a bunch of gardening videos lately, and so I do fertilize, but this is quite disgusting, and I really encourage you guys all to try this. What I do is I take my indoor compost and I add a little water, and then I drain that into an outdoor compost that's clear, and then I let that bake in the sun, and it turns into this disgusting goo that looks like snot. Like, it's disgusting. It's thick. And I actually saw this on a garden video from this man in New Zealand who's growing onions that are like this, can't even show how big. Like enormous, enormous vegetables. They're just making their own organic compost. So I kind of do this funny process, but I don't always do it because it's gross and, But this year I just bought fertilizer because I was reading a lot that it is very normal to do a fertilizing after you've planted or potted. Everything that's happening right now, when we're finished in this section of our yard, I'm going to go through and do a fertilizer. And I just found normal name brand that we all know, but they have organic ones, because it should just be like sea kelp, bone, blood. There's like a few things that you're supposed to put it right into the mix when you're even planting. I didn't do that this year, but I'm going to do a fertilize of everything, and it's time release, and don't use too much. Do it now, and then I think you do it in midsummer again, and that's just to bring back some of the nutrients, and you're going to get a lot better blooms, especially for things like your petunias. They need they need a little extra boost. So yeah.
So I just want to touch on, you said the fuchsias are perennial, and then we talked about annuals. What's the difference there?
So your annuals are just your yearly plants that are going to die.
Okay.
Although in our climate, so many of our annuals are more like self-seeding perennials, or they're just perennials. For example, I have a broccoli plant out there that I ate all winter, the new shoots, and it's like this big.
Wow.
It's just huge, and it never makes broccolis. It makes those little sprigs of broccoli or whatever they're called.
Sure, yeah.
Pop them off and eat them constantly.
Wow.
It's like 3 years old, my broccoli, and I have another massive kale out there that's about 3 years old. And those two plants was enough for us to have some fresh greens. Like, if you run out, we also, we buy lettuce and everything, but if you just run out, it's enough out there to make a small salad and grab your, we grow chives and green onions too. It's a salad. So you only need a couple of plants. So those kind of plants become perennial, and same with geraniums. Some people bring them in and grow them all winter, and they put them back again in the summer. So they're technically annuals, but here in our climate, we're so close to being almost tropical.
So generally an annual is kind of like a one-time shot, and a perennial will come back.
Yeah, and for most people it is. Like my petunias, pansies are perennials too, but they don't always last. Like, just some stuff, it just doesn't always last. So and your bulbs are perennials because you put them in every year, but you'll find that over the years, unless you're pulling them out every couple of years and dividing, sometimes they'll just go. Another thing about bulbs is that little animals, for them, it's like finding a chocolate egg. Like, it is delicacy. So you kind of got to do little inventories of what's there, and then next year, like, okay, for some reason all of those tulips are gone, or those
Mm.
tulips are clumped so much. I got to remember to take them apart in the fall and redistribute them. So this year I'm going to get more serious and do a couple of maps.
Wow, that is serious.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about maybe doing some small paintings of what's everywhere, but
Cool.
yeah, photos and, photos or however I'm going to keep track. But most gardeners have like a full on log and they keep some sort of, because, yeah.
Totally. So tell us about the painting you do, because I know you're, and now I know I had no idea you were this savvy
Yeah.
to gardening. Like, I know you had a nice garden and I knew you were pretty on it for that stuff, but I know that your passion as well lives in the art world, and we can't help but notice a very technicolored, awesome miniature horse behind you. So maybe tell us about your work as an artist, and where we might find out more about that.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, well, I'm an oil painter. I like to study animals, plants, and I do portraits also. Um, a couple of my paintings are right now being displayed in the windows of Rathart Supply. I was the artist in residence for March, and then COVID-19 came. So I'm just the ongoing artist in residence there who isn't actually there. But some of my big paintings are in the window right now, and that's in Mount Pleasant, right in the Heritage Heart there, Main, Broadway, and Kingsway, that neighborhood. So we have a local art store there that's independently owned and really important to our neighborhood.
And what's that called again? Sorry?
It's called Rath, Rath, Rathart Supply.
Okay.
And it's very well known among artists and gallery people. So, yeah, oil painting has been a long time passion of mine, and I still love it. I'm working on some fun commissions right now, and I think there's going to be a lot of fun work done this summer too.
Yeah, it's a good time to be creative and work on those kind of passions. And do you have any like social media profiles or things people can follow or check you out on?
Yeah, you can always find me on my website. It's just jenniferchernecki.com. I'm sure that Josh will put my name
I'll type it in there.
Yeah, and then my Instagram is called Main Street Poodle. But
awesome.
You can find my website and it's got everything there.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything we didn't cover that you want to leave us with?
No, I think just, if you want a starter kit, you can get enough stuff to get working for $20. You just need a bag of dirt, some nice smaller pots to start things, and then you'll need a couple bigger pots. That's the one thing I wanted to leave you with. If you're planning to grow some nice big plants, make sure that even for a single geranium, or I had 2 in that picture, you saw my pot was big. That's because if you want a plant with 4 or 5 blooms on it, you're going to need room. The plant above should have the same amount of space below. That's what they say for trees, right? The root ball is about as big as the plant above.
Right.
So if you keep your new, especially if you're on a balcony, get a couple of nice big pots. They're very cheap. Also, you want to be careful right now because of the virus and everything, but the best place to get them is in the alleys. Go for a walk in any East End or even downtown. I see them. People just upgrade their pots, right? They get a bigger pot, they put their pots in the alleys. I see it every single spring. There's pots out there. So it doesn't have to be pretty. You can decorate it if you want to. Yeah. That's about all you need. Some seeds or a couple starter plants, and you can have a nice little mini garden.
So don't be scared is what I'm hearing. And just start out small budget's all you need, and take it from there.
Throw some rocks in the bottom, give it a little drainage.
Good tip.
I think that's a mistake a lot of early gardeners do, is the drainage issue. It's not that they're overwatering. It's like if you don't have a pot that has drainage, you got to put rocks, because you don't want to, if the roots get too wet, your plant can just go south really quickly. So, but everything's online. Every time I get a new plant, I Google it and I read in my old lady gardening book. It's like one of those thick ones from the 50s, everything I can. So just start with a few things. Maybe pick something you like to eat, like chives. Those are easy.
Yeah.
And then
I like that.
Enjoy it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This is really fun. I learned a lot. I'm sure
Yeah.
anyone watching has learned a lot. And you're kind of inspiring me. Maybe I will start gardening again now that
You
there's
should
been a
get a
little bit more.
fuchsia.
Yeah, maybe I could. I don't have as much light from this place as I did in Kits, but maybe I could do that.
You should.
All right, Jen. Well, thank you so much. Have a great Easter.
Yeah, happy
And
Easter.
I'll look forward to seeing you post-COVID.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Vancouver Real Estate Today explores the art of living through genuine storytelling and localized expertise. If you enjoy what we do here, do us a favor and write us a review, and visit us at vancouverrealestatetoday.ca and discover the home that lets you express and live who you are.